Amongst the chaos and barbarism in Tarkov, certain groups of individuals are quick to capitalize upon the death and destruction around them. And while their motives range from altruism to greed and personal gain, one thing they all share in common is that they maintain a stable connection to the outside world and that they are able to source food, water, weapons, and supplies for anyone who can pay, and sometimes in exchange for getting their hands dirty. These are the stories of the shady men and women who keep Tarkov's machine of death well oiled with the blood of both innocents and the guilty. These are the dealers of Tarkov. Elvira Cabobolina, or better known under her alias, Therapist, was the head of the trauma care department of Tarkov City Central Hospital before the region was blockaded and violence erupted. Of all departments within a hospital, trauma is one of the most stressful to manage. As its name implies, trauma medicine refers to the treatment of traumatic injuries as a result of automobile accidents, gunshot wounds, broken bones, or severed limbs. Unlike many dealers within Tarkov, Elvira witnessed countless bloodied and crushed bodies before a single shot had ever been fired by USEC or Bear forces. It is assumed that the therapist became trapped within Tarkov when she either missed her chance to evacuate or willingly stayed behind to help the injured and dying within Tarkov. Keeping true to her Hippocratic vows, Therapist appears to only desire to aid the citizens of Tarkov, using you as her intermediary. But as her story unfolds, she may not be the compassionate healer you think she is. When you first meet Elvira, just like Prapper, she begins to size you up almost immediately. When you first meet any of the dealers, the violence in Tarkov has been going on for quite some time, and there's no question that they've all seen many mercenaries come and go. To test your loyalty and aptitude, she requires that you retrieve 3 Salewa medical kits for her, but on one condition: they must be found while in combat. You can only assume one thing from this requirement. The therapist means business. If you prove useful, you must be willing and able to put up a fight for whatever it is she has in store for you. If you successfully bring what she wants, she immediately informs you that the local aquifer has been purposely polluted, and that a large gang of scavs near the dorms area on customs has been seen carrying in large quantities of clean drinking water to hoard for themselves. Interestingly enough, Therapist already knows who's behind this pollution, and she has a team of engineers already at work to fix the problem. But clean water is needed in the meantime. If you manage to find this stockpile of water, she notes that the dealer known as Skier might be upset about your discovery. Not wasting any time, she informs you that she knows exactly who has polluted the water supply, and that the group of scavs responsible need to be dealt with, saying this:
I'm not really comfortable with this kind of request, but there are lives at stake, and these scoundrels go on with their dirty business. We need to properly scare them off. Let them die in suffering so they would feel what they've done and what they're being punished for. Will you do it?
You are momentarily taken aback by her words. Up until this point, Therapist has presented herself as a medical professional aiming only to aid the people of the region, but now she requests not only do you kill this gang of scavs, but that you do so in a fashion that they are made to suffer. But these are dark times, and you shrug off her comments and do her bidding. When you return to Therapist, she is in alarm over a newly discovered issue at the old chemical production factory. She informs you that whatever chemical was being produced by Terragroup there is leaking into the groundwater, and that if it is not rectified, it could kill everyone within Tarkov. She needs you to find a collection of gas analyzers in order to fix the problem, but is very stern with you that questions of what this chemical is or what it is used for is strictly none of your business. You aren't sure what the long-term implications are of these requests, but she promises you much-needed medical supplies and rubles in return, so it's hard to say no. With questions still unanswered about the chemical plant, you keep returning to Therapist and slowly start to build her trust. She often requires you to find medical items for her or sends you on courier missions in notoriously hostile areas. Each time you return successful, she rewards you handsomely. And each time you return bloody and battered, she fixes you up for a small fee. As your relationship with her grows, she offers you better and more rare medical equipment and occasionally high-end storage devices. On one such visit to pick up a few extra IFAKs for a trip to customs area, she approaches you with an excited alarm in her eyes. Therapist has negotiated the evacuation of civilians out of the Tarkov region with the Russian Federation troops guarding the border. She has gathered enough food, water, and medical supplies for them to make the journey, but the vans are not operational and require spark plugs and batteries to get running. If you manage to find these for her, these desperate citizens can finally make it out of this hellscape and return to safety. She notes, however, that only women, children, and the very elderly will be evacuated in this first wave. No military-aged males are allowed to leave. You feel a small tinge of regret for the nameless, faceless young accountants, lawyers, or bookkeepers that will now be doomed to stay within Tarkov, the ones who don't possess a fighting bone in their body, but will be forced to become as beasts and assimilate into a life of chaos and gunsmoke or be swallowed by it. You spend many days and nights searching for what she needs, but eventually you find the required parts and you stand with her outside her makeshift clinic and watch the taillights fade into the night as the evacuees make their way towards the Tarkov border. 15 minutes later, a chill shoots down your spine as you hear faint gunshots in the direction they were headed, then complete silence. By this point, you have earned trust with Therapist, and she has transitioned from calling you mercenary to young man. At times you're annoyed by this and sometimes feel belittled, but over time, it grows on you. Therapist continues to send you to various areas of Tarkov, fulfilling courier missions for her as she seems to have some interest in figuring out what Terragroup was up to while they were active in the region. Then, one day she approaches you with a special mission to find out what happened near Shoreline. An underground tunnel that evacuees were using to flee the region collapsed, and casualties were massive. Ambulances were dispatched to aid the injured, and then ambushed by bandits. The paramedics tried to flee, but most were gunned down. Therapist is hopeful that valuable medical supplies are still inside those ambulances and sends you out to locate them. You find the ambulances and miraculously, the supplies are still inside. And while searching them for meds, you find a luxury Mercedes SUV in the area with several deceased individuals inside, all with high-level Terragroup credentials. You relay this information to Therapist on your return, and she informs you that she is aware that Terragroup conducted very serious medical research that may have been left behind in the health resort with Terragroup employees she has had previous dealings with. If you can find it, it may be valuable enough to earn both you and her a ticket out of Tarkov. You waste no time and head straight towards the resort. Upon arriving, you unlock room 306 in the west wing, and as you open the door, the stench of decay and rot slaps you in the face. In the room are 2 corpses in an advanced stage of decomposition. Wrapping a shamag around your face, you search the room with watering eyes and find a documents case with what you assume contains whatever Therapist wanted. You glance at its contents, but it might as well be written in another language. Nothing but medical jargon and gibberish. There's no time for sentiments or any kind of burial for these 2. You don't even close the door when you leave. Returning to Therapist, you give her the documents and her eyes widen. The Terragroup documents you found were all related to research in the field of immunology. Whatever this research had to do with, you are certain that had some involvement in why this whole godforsaken mess is the way that it is. Therapist tells you that she knows an elderly practitioner in this field, and that he drove a white minivan around the woods area. He had great success with his research, and may have possibly tested some of these Terragroup concoctions on himself. You head off, and after days searching, you finally find an abandoned, ransacked van by the water's edge. Nobody in sight, but a splash of blood covering the sliding door. Remembering Therapist's words, that this doctor may have experimented on himself, you collect a sample of blood and return it to Therapist, who sends it off for analysis. Days go by, and you become preoccupied with tasks from other dealers in the area when you decide to go back and check on Therapist and see if she has anything new to offer. When you return, you notice she seems off. She seems a little more rigid than normal and slightly short with you. While trying to make conversation, you can tell she's examining you. Then finally she mentions the blood sample, saying only that she hopes you had no open wounds when you collected it, and that you didn't handle it with bare hands. In alarm, you open your mouth to object or ask questions, but she immediately dismisses what she said, saying that exposure to sun, wind, and rain most likely rendered the blood safe. But as you leave, she tells you to keep a very close eye on how you're feeling, and to let her know if there's any changes with your health. Sleep does not come easily to you that night. In subsequent visits, Therapist checks on your health before finally dropping the subject after some time. She sends you on a few odd jobs, mostly collecting food or other supplies for those in need. Once in a while, she sends you out to clear scavs out of areas, but again, that uncharacteristic ferocity sometimes laces her instructions when she tells you to kill them at very close range and to inflict massive suffering. It's clear that Therapist almost doesn't view the local scavs as actual humans, but almost like cattle that needs to be culled. Either way, you don't ask questions, and the pay is good. As you start to wonder if her promises about a ticket out of Tarkov was just a ruse, she informs you one day that she has learned of a doctor operating out of the shoreline location. His methods are crude, but he appears to be helping the local survivors as well as scavs, and she intends to make contact. After her team doesn't return, you go to investigate and find out they were all killed. Despite this, Therapist eventually makes contact with Sanitar and begins to negotiate a deal to work together. It's at this point that you reveal to Therapist that the dealer known as Jaeger has instructed you to kill Sanitar, claiming he's a fraud and a psychopath, and the reward he is offering is huge. But Therapist makes an uncharacteristic shift in her demeanor. Normally, she absolutely detests the local scavs, but this one, she promises has extremely valuable knowledge, and if she can just work with him and give him access to restricted areas of the Terragroup labs, it will be worth it. Problem is, she needs these keycards, which are beyond rare. For the first time, you betray her trust, and you kill Sanitar. But in all honesty, he forced your hand. Looking for scavs to clear out for Prapor on shoreline, Sanitar's security detail opened fire on you near the cottages. Pinned down and with nowhere to retreat to, you assaulted the cottages with a volley of hand grenades and found Sanitar's fragment-riddled corpse among the aftermath. Your story with the Therapist ends on somewhat of a cliffhanger, on the cusp of a major discovery. Skier has identified what this blue ice substance is, or sometimes called the yellow chemical. They may be related, or two completely different things, but nearly every dealer within Tarkov wants the stuff. Therapist knows precisely what it is and remarks that it is extremely dangerous, pleading with you to give her the location of the substance. In the future, the stories of Therapist and other dealers of Tarkov will coalesce into a clear picture of what exactly Terragroup is up to and just how dangerous their motives and intentions are. It also seems like when Escape from Tarkov is finished, you'll have to make a decision on who you will reveal Terragroup's secrets to. Will you turn these secrets over to the authorities or relief workers for the common good of the people within Tarkov, or will you ally yourself with Skier and other profiteers that seek to get rich from the suffering within Tarkov's borders? The choice will be yours and yours alone to make, and when those choices become apparent, I'll be here to tell the story. I hope you all enjoyed the second installment of the Dealers of Tarkov. Therapist has one of the most lore-heavy story and quest lines within Tarkov, and also one of the most interesting personalities. She can be kind and compassionate at times, and heartless and cunning at the same time. The question I want you all to answer in the comments is, do you think Therapist was only the head of trauma at the Tarkov hospital? She admits to having dealings with Terragroup employees, and even knows several. She also apparently knows a little too much about all these chemicals than your ordinary ER doctor might have. I think there's more going on here, but let me know what you think. I couldn't be more pleased with how fast our channel is growing, and it's thanks to each and every one of you that has subscribed, posted a comment, or liked one of our videos. Making these videos is a work of love and passion for myself and my editor, and when I say that I appreciate and love you guys, I really mean it. Feel free to stop by the Twitch stream, of course, a link is in the description, and you can talk to me live. There will definitely be more soon, but until then, I'm Jeff with EUL Gaming. Good luck out there.